Hello, my name is Gary Yoakum. I'm an RTDS instructor, and today we're going to conduct an air brake test, an in-cab inspection, and an exterior pre-trip inspection. So now we're going to perform our pre-trip inspection. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to get in the truck with a 3-point of contacts. We will open up the hood latch, and then we will turn around and we will exit the truck with 3 points of contact. We are going to perform an in-cab inspection. The first thing we are going to inspect is going to be our lighting indicators. Left turn working properly. Our right turn is working properly. Our high beams are working properly. And our 4-way flashers are working properly. The next we are going to perform is our safety equipment. And this here is our fully charged and secured fire extinguisher. We have 3 red safety reflective triangles over here. We have our 6 stored fuses right here. And up here we have our fuse box. We are going to perform our windshield and our mirror test. My windshield is clean, it is not cracked, and there's no obstructions. And my mirrors are clean and adjusted to me. Now I'm going to check my windshield wiper arms and blades. So now we're going to perform our wipers and our washers. Our wipers arms and blades, they are not damaged, they're not broken, and they operate smoothly. And our washer fluid is empty. We are going to inspect our windshield and our mirrors. My windshield is clean, it is not cracked, and no obstructions. And my mirrors are clean and adjusted to me. Now we are going to check our wipers and our washers. Now I'm going to check my wipers, arms, and blades. Make sure they are not damaged, mounted securely, and operate smoothly. And our washer fluid is empty, which I will report to maintenance. Okay, now we're going to check our heater and our defroster. Our defroster is working and blowing. And then we're going to check our heater. And our heater is working and blowing. Now we're going to check our horns. First horn we are going to check is going to be our city horn. And the second horn we are going to check is going to be our highway horn. Working properly. We are going to perform a brake test. The first thing we are going to do is perform a safe start. I'm going to check my buttons to make sure that they are pulled and also make sure that the truck is in neutral. Now I'm going to perform the safe start. I'm going to make sure that the ABS light comes on. ABS light on, ABS light off, end of trailer ABS off. Now I'm going to perform a safe start. We are going to build air to the governor cutoff at 120 psi to 140 psi. The governor cutoff came on about approximately 125 psi. So now we are going to perform an air leakage test. We're going to turn the key off. We're going to turn the key back onto the auxiliary position and place the truck into low gear. Now we are going to release the brakes and wait till the needles settle. Now that the needles have settled, we're going to apply our parking brake for 1 minute. And we should not lose more than 4 psi during that 1 minute. And you press your brake pedal, you hold it, you read the psi to the examiner. We are approximately 95 psi. Our 1 minute is up. We did not lose more than 4 psi during our 1 minute. We lost 0 pounds. Now I'm going to perform a low air warning light test. I will pump the brake pedal until the warning lights come on. Should come on approximately 55 to 60 psi. The warning lights came on at approximately 55 psi. Now we are going to perform an emergency brake test. I will continue to pump the brakes until the valves pop out. The tractor should pop out approximately 20 psi. The trailer should pop out approximately 40 psi, or the valves will pop out at the same time. The trailer popped out approximately 25 psi, and the tractor popped out at 20 psi. Now I'm going to build my air to the governor cutoff, and we are going to perform a parking brake and a trailer brake test. So we are going to perform a parking brake test. We're going to release our trailer brake and we're going to tug. The parking brake is working and holding properly. Now we are going to perform a trailer brake test. We are going to pull our red knob and we're going to push our yellow knob. Let the clutch out real slow. The parking brake is working properly. There is no play between our kingpin and our locking jaw. Now we are going to perform a service brake test. Is what we are going to do. We're going to roll forward about 5 miles an hour, and then we're going to make sure that the steering wheel or truck does not pull from side to side when we apply the brakes. First thing we're going to do is put the truck into a low gear. Let the clutch out slowly and simulate 5 miles an hour. And our service brake is completed and this truck did not move from side to side. First thing we're going to inspect is our front vehicle lights and lenses and fog lights. They're all clean, they're a proper color, and they are not broken and they are not missing. Clear? Now we are going to check our fluid levels. This is our power steering reservoir, and we will check this fluid level with our dipstick, and it should be between the minimum and maximum level. Over here is our engine oil dipstick. We will check the engine oil level between minimum and maximum. Over here is our coolant reservoir, and we will be using a sight glass to check the level between minimum and maximum. Now we are going to check our fluid and our air leaks. Now I will point to under the vehicle for no puddles, no dripping fluids from the engine area to the ground. Now I'm going to check for cuts and cracks on my air lines and fittings, and I'm looking and listening for air and fluid leaks on my hoses and my air lines. Now I'm going to check my power steering hoses and fittings. Make sure there is no cuts, no cracks, and no leaks. Then I'm going to go down and check my power steering box to make sure it is mounted securely and not leaking. And next I will point to my pitment arm, my drag link, my upper, my lower control arm, and my tie rod. And I'm looking to make sure they are not cracked, not worn, no missing nuts, bolts, cotter keys, and my joints and sockets are not worn and loose. Now we're going to check our tires. I will check and point to my tires and make sure that my inner and my outer sidewall and my tread are not cut, not damaged, no bumps, no bulges. And I will check my tread depth by using a tread depth gauge, which should be no less than 4/32 of an inch. All other axles should be no less than 2/32 of an inch in the same size and type across the axle. Now I will point to my valve stem, cap, and cover. I will check my valve stem to make sure it is not damaged, not broken, and my valve stem cap should not be missing. And this is where I will check with my proper inflation with using a tire gauge. So now we're going to inspect our rims. We're going to check to make sure they are not damaged, not cracked, not bent, no weld repairs, and no rust trails. And then we're going to check to make sure our studs and holes are not distorted or egg-shaped, and there is no loose, missing nuts or bolts. Now we're going to inspect our lug nuts. My lug nuts, to make sure that they're all present. They have no shiny threads, no rust trails, which are signs of being loose, and my studs are not broken. So now I'm going to check my suspension system, my springs, my shocks, my mounts, and my level. I'm going to point to my leaf springs, my mounts, to make sure that they're all present, they're not broken, cracked, shifted, or missing any parts. Now I will point to my shock absorber to make sure it is mounted securely, not damaged, and not leaking. And now I will go to the front of the vehicle to check with my arms to indicate that the vehicle is sitting level from side to side and front to rear. Now I'm going to make sure that my truck is level. We're going to go side to side and then front to rear, and this will indicate if we have a broken suspension part. Now we're going to check our brake lines and fittings. Here's our brake line and our fittings. We're looking to make sure they're mounted securely, not cracked, not worn, not frayed, and not leaking. Now we're going to check our brake contaminants. And there is no brake contaminants such as oil or grease. Now we're going to inspect our lenses and our reflectors on the side of our vehicle. And our lenses, they're not missing, they're not broken, they're all clean and proper color. Now we're going to check our mirrors and our mirror brackets. We want to make sure they're clean, they're not cracked, not bent, mounted securely, and there is no missing parts. Now we're going to inspect our electrical system and our battery. We're going to open the door, and we're going to make sure that the battery cover is secure, the batteries and the electrical cables, to make sure they're not cracked or not worn, and there's no signs of corrosion. Now we're going to inspect our fuel tank. Our fuel tank is securely mounted. My cap is tight, and there's no leaks and no puddles. Now we're going to inspect our frames and cross members on our truck and our trailer. The frame and cross members on my truck are not cracked, they're not damaged, there's no broken welds, and there's no holes. This is our frame here, cross members here, and we have a cross member here. And now we will check our trailer. We're checking our frame and our cross members and our cargo area to make sure there is no holes in the floor, not cracked and not broken. And then here's our sliding tandems. We're inspecting our lever and our pins are secure and not damaged. Now we're going to inspect our air lines, electrical lines, and our connections. Now we'll check both air hoses and the connectors on my tractor and trailer side. Make sure that they're not cut, they're not cracked, and not chafed. They are sealed and seated and do not leak any air. My electrical line is not exposed to any steel braids. My air and electrical lines are not tangled, crimped, pinched, spliced, taped, or worn, and not dragging on any part of the vehicle. Now we're going to inspect our kingpin, our apron, and our gap. Now we're going to inspect our kingpin and apron to make sure it's not broken, it's not cracked, not damaged, and not bent. And we're looking to make sure there is no space between the apron and the skid plate and is also properly lubricated. So now we're going to inspect our locking and our safety devices. So now I will check my fifth wheel gap. My locking jaws are locked securely around my kingpin, and there is no play between my kingpin and my locking jaws. My release handle is in the locked position and my safety latch is in place. My locking pins are not damaged and then locked securely and in the locked position. Now we're going to inspect our landing gear and our clearance. My legs are fully raised, my landing pads are not damaged, and my crank handle is secure. And then we want to make sure that we have proper clearance during turns from our mud flap to our landing gear. Now I'm going to inspect my reflective tape on the sides and the rear of my trailer. My reflective tape is all present and secured to the trailer. Now we're going to inspect the lenses and reflectors on the rear of the trailer. So they're proper color, they're not broken, they're not missing, and they're all clean.